All right, welcome in everybody. It is a awesome episode because we're not talking to a college athlete tonight. We're going to get to talk to the coach, and not just any coach, but the coach of Campbell baseball. Justin, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing awesome, Jim, man. Thank you. Thank you guys for having me on. Excited to jump in and break it down a little bit tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, as I was telling you before the episode, it's been an extremely long day, but this is one that I did not want to miss. He said we don't do coaches often, but I've been a big fan of yours, and so wanted to be a part of this. But before we get into your story, we got to break the ice. And usually we break the ice slowly, but I'm coming in hot for you. You're not one of these ball players, you're a coach. And so I got to ask you, do you know the difference between a one hump and a two hump camel?
Yeah, one hump. That's the
No,
difference.
that is
What are you
not
talking
it.
about? Yes, there is. Like, what are you talking about? The difference
No.
between two
Do
and
you know
one.
why a camel has either one hump or
That's not what
two?
you asked.
Do you
That's not what
know
you
why?
asked. That you asked what the difference was. I
All
said
right.
one hump's the
So,
difference.
what kind of camel has one and what has two? If you're going to
The
be the Campbell baseball coach, you've got to know this.
the dromedary has one.
Oh, I'm so impressed. All right. Which one has two?
The not dromedary.
Ah, the Bactrian. But I am impressed. This you just knew the first part. And that's what he knows, the one that's the logo. That's the important.
That's it. That's it.
All
When you've
right.
been
Well,
when you've been a when you've been a fighting camel for almost 17 years, man, you better have a little bit of knowledge.
I'll
Don't
be honest with you. I just thought it had to do with which one was, came with two and has stores more water and fat. Like I didn't know there was actually a difference.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the exact difference, but they got different names, and one's got one more hump than the other one.
Daniel, let me ask you because you've seen the logo. If you put a second hump on there, it just wouldn't have the same swag, would it?
no, it'd be like a circus camel.
Exactly. All right, coach.
We're not here for the circus. Hopefully,
No.
Well, we're fixing to get into the circus with this
that's
next
okay.
question.
This part's fun. That's the fun part.
Yeah, this next question is going to be kind of circus like. If you had to sing karaoke, we usually ask just what you would sing. If you had to sing it with your fellow players, what song you getting up there on stage and singing with them? What are you picking?
Man, they might not they might not even know, which would be really sad. They'd probably know the if I was up there with my players, I'd have to go Friends in Low Places by Garth Brooks, just because our dudes are down and dirty, man. Like I would feel very at home. Take
Lie
ours.
detector results are in. Tom Brady.
So safe to say, when you got to play in Duty Noble, you liked that they played that in the eighth inning.
Man, I couldn't have told you what they played in what inning
It's so loud.
yeah, no, I mean just like that's yeah. The only song I can probably ever remember was the first regional we went to in 14. I was the assistant here at Campbell. We went to South Carolina and they played Sandstorm in the eighth inning, opening night. And it was, I mean, we were the 4 seed. South Carolina was rolling back-to-back national championships and then super regional in 13. And I mean, that place was packed out and we were looking around and that was pretty sweet, man. That's probably the only song I ever remember getting played in a stadium at any particular moment.
Yeah, well, if you would have got to, if they would have been so loud, I love Mississippi State. They actually play Friends in Low Places and going into the bottom of the eighth inning, and they usually do the lights out, so it's a nice touch. But postseason atmosphere, I don't know if you'll be able to catch it at all. But good song. I absolutely agree with that. It's one of the songs that I would sing personally for karaoke. But this next question has me excited. Daniel, we ask all these college kids this question, and we get Ariana Grande's and Miley Cyrus's. It's not us. You're closer to our age. So I asked you, Coach, when you were growing up, who was your celebrity crush?
Ooh. we were fortunate to grow up in a time when Britney and Christina Aguilera were lighting it up, you know. So it was depending on your mood. If you wanted to, you know, if you wanted to go a little bit sweet, you go on the Britney Spears side. If you wanted to go on the little saltier, dirtier side, you go Christina Aguilera, and you know, and if you take a walk on the wild side and a little bit of both.
I mean, this is absolutely a family show, but I would be lying to the audience if I didn't say that "Dirty" by Christina Aguilera was probably my favorite music video. There is no doubt, Coach.
Yeah,
but
yeah, no doubt.
I'm not going to expose you. I'll just expose myself. But you know, Chris is actually so old he probably don't know what we're talking about over there. But it's all good. So
okay.
Yeah, I had to throw the old joke in there.
I'm going Kelly Kapowski, bro. Like that, like, you know.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Usually when she's in a graphic, she takes the cake when I see these people giving their opinions. I don't think I've ever seen her lose.
Yeah. Anyway, we digress. We go on.
we could spend the next 30 on that, guys.
Right.
We need a bracket. We need a bracket. Childhood crush bracket.
If you don't think I'll create, I mean, we got Survivor going on already. We'll come out with that bracket next, So, but this is the important question, right? This is a sports show. Coach, growing up, there's always that one athlete, somebody that inspires you more than the rest. Who is your favorite athlete all time?
Favorite athlete all time. That's, man. Like growing up, my favorite baseball guys random was Dave Parker. He was with the Reds for a while. I'm a Cincinnati guy. Got traded to the A's. I loved watching Ricky Henderson play. But probably growing up, like favorite overall athlete was probably Joe Montana.
Yeah, I heard he was pretty good,
Yeah. 4 Super Bowl championships, national title at Notre Dame. I was, grew up, Midwestern Catholic in the 80s. So, Lou Holtz and those guys rolling at Notre Dame, man, like Joe Montana, just crushing it for the 49ers. Pretty fun to watch that guy work and win and tons of comebacks and, like 3rd round draft pick, was not a starter at Notre Dame, like through the entirety of his career or whatever, till really kind of his senior year. And so just fun to watch a guy like that, probably not like the most physically gifted dude. Just a true winner.
Yeah. You and Daniel were blessed. See, some of us get raised to be Saints fans and don't know winning. Daniel is a Cowboys fan, got numerous championships. You San Francisco, numerous championships. The rest of us get taught how to put bags on our heads growing up. So, not all of us get to be that lucky.
Hey, trying to cheer for the Bengals growing up in the late 80s and early 90s, man, that wasn't the ticket. You had to find something else.
No doubt. Well, this is the last one, and I'll let Chris get in your story. This would normally wait till later for the Campbell portion, but Dalen Thompson said I needed to start the episode with this. He said this was a question that I had to ask, get this thing going. He wanted to ask you about the blessing of the bats and explain the process.
Oh, man. I don't even know if I know the whole process. It started in 22, if you went and found our stats through the first, golly, man, I think we started 7 and 9, but we might have started 6 and 10. We were really bad early. I bet we were hitting like right at 200 as a team. And we had a guy on our team named Jack Ellis. His brother Drew played it at Louisville and has made it to the big leagues. And Jack came to us from John A. Logan. Awesome kid. Didn't play a ton for us. Like, I just look up one day and he's got all of our guys' bats. Like, after we kind of do some sprints and stuff before the game, before we get started, he's got like all of our guys' bats like lined up on the warning track. And he's got an energy drink out there, and he's like sacrificing one of our freshmen, like with a fungo, and like drawing it out and like blessing it, like knighting him. And then they're dumping, energy drink on the bats. And, it's really involved. But I can tell you this: after that, if you took our stats from game 16 of 2022 through every day that we've done that since, I mean, the numbers are outrageous. So I mean, it's now passed on. Jack transferred to Southern Indiana, and passed it on to Andy Schultz and Jackson Thompson are two of our catchers that kind of took that over last year, and they haven't missed a day, man. And we've been pretty good offensively since the blessing of the bats has come along.
I mean, I think that it increases the barrel and increases the size of the ball. Don't hold me to it. It's not scientific, but I believe that's what happens.
100%. Whatever happens, as long as it keeps happening good for the Camels, and we're in a good spot.
There you go.
I would expect nothing less from baseball players. Look, I lived in the pen, so the shenanigans that go on down there. We had a lot of time on our hands, so it's that's par for the course. But Coach, just for the people, the listeners and the viewers here, just a little bit of history on yourself here. Why don't you tell everybody? You mentioned it a second ago, but where you grew up, where you're from, and what part of the country. You mentioned, I guess, the Midwest, but just specifically.
Yep. Grew up outside of Cincinnati, Ohio, in a town called Hamilton, Ohio. Like just 20 minutes outside of downtown. Just blue collar Midwest town. Went to high school there, and then from there went to Bowling Green State University in Northwest Ohio, and played 2 years there. I think I racked up a grand total of 27 at-bats in 2 years. You said you spent some time hanging out in the bullpen, man. Like, I would have been your guy down there.
Okay.
Catching in the bullpen with you. I caught probably, I caught a lot of complete games in the bullpen in my college career. So spent 2 years there, and then 2 years at University of Indianapolis, and got to play for two really awesome coaches, and even in high school played football and baseball for kind of some legendary coaches growing up, and so that was a blast, man. Like, growing up in that time period in the 80s and 90s, growing up in the Midwest. Ohio State football was really good. Notre Dame football was I grew up Catholic, 12 years of Catholic school, man. Like I would have given my left arm to go to Notre Dame. And Rudy came out that there in the 90s. They won the national championship in '88, and just a lot of really good people, man, and a lot of fun growing up. I'm glad I didn't grow up in the day and age that these guys do, with cell phones and smartphones. Yeah. And I mean, the internet was barely even breaking through when I was getting to high school and college and stuff, man, which you don't think of it at the time, but you look back and man, like, you hung out with your dudes and you played sports, and hell, you read the sports page with your dad, sitting there drinking coffee in the morning, and like, man, you can't. I was talking with, this past week was Thanksgiving, I was talking with some of my friends back home, and it's like, man,
yeah,
you can't replace those memories. And that's probably the same story a lot of people tell from all over the country, but certainly that way in Southwest Ohio growing up.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm probably a couple years older than you, but it's the same thing. I grew up in South Louisiana, Catholic, private. The high school I went to is called Catholic High, so I totally get it. But I was on the flip side. I couldn't stand Notre Dame. But I liked watching the Reds play. You had Griffey, you had Dibble, you had all those guys growing up, and the Braves and the Red Sox in the 80s and 90s, and the Yankees. I mean, we could go on and on about 90s and 2000s Major League Baseball. But yeah, looking at box scores, checking the transactions in the back of the paper, I totally feel you. So, in terms of coaching, at what point did you know? Did you know in college, you wanted to be a coach, or did you figure it out kind of right after? Like, well, I'm out of eligibility. I got to figure out what else to do now. How'd that come about?
Yeah. Yep. That's basically exactly what happened, man. Like, I was done playing. And I was working, like, doing door-to-door business sales in Indianapolis, or like in the outskirts of Indianapolis, selling AT&T phone lines, long distance phone lines to businesses. And Cooligan water coolers, like the most random stuff. Not a great job, but anyways, I show up at a University of Indianapolis basketball game in December after I got done playing, and my head coach Gary Vaught was there, and he's like, "Hey man, like, what are you doing?" And I was like, "Well, I'm about to get this job, like doing customer service at this insurance company, like 30 grand a year, whatever, man, like cool, like figure it out, And he's like, "Well, hey, listen, like one of my old assistants is a head coach at a school in Kansas, at an NAI school in Kansas. Like his assistant just left to become a high school coach. Like, you want to get into coaching?" And I'm like, "Yeah, man, sure. I'll talk to him. Like
why not? Right?
Yeah. Like give me his number, like whatever." Like, so, I call him and it's like right around like New Year's, like either early January, late December. And I call him, guy named Scott Norwood, and he was coaching at Sterling College in Kansas, and smallest NAIA school in the country, 475 students. And the dude's like, "Yeah, man, cool. Like, I need you to kind of run the pitchers." So I was like, "Well, man, I caught in college and, caught my whole life. Like I can figure that out. That's no problem." And he's like, "All right, man. Well, the job's yours if you want. You're going to live in the dorms." And we start practice on Thursday. Thursday's first day of practice. And this was like Monday. And I was like, "Cool, man. Like, I'll be there." So like Wednesday, packed up my Isuzu Trooper, packed up my house in Indianapolis, jump in the car, drive through the night to get to Sterling, Kansas. Never been there, never met this guy, never, Sterling, Kansas is an hour north of Wichita. Like, show up, like roll up to the football stadium where this dude's office was. And I was like, "Hey coach, like Justin Haire, nice to meet you. What time we got practice?" And he's like, "Yeah, practice is at 1. Like, I'll get you checked into the dorm and let's roll." I'm throwing batting practice at 1:30, like whatever. Like, and so, like that's how, like, literally had no thought like, man, I want to grow up and I want to coach, or I want to do this. Like,
right.
Man, I had no idea, and the good Lord just put you in good places, I guess.
Yeah, that sounds, for those that don't know, that sounds like the most random college summer ball trip ever. That sounds like college summer ball. Like, I played in Danville, Illinois, and I'm like, no cell phones. So I just drove 12 hours through midnight up to Danville. I'm like, "Hey, I'm here. I can pitch. I'm good." Like, I just got out of my car, but I can get hot real quick and try to throw an inning for you. It's just like
100%.
Yeah, you're just like,
bro. I drove out there. I didn't have a cell phone. This was 2004. Like, I didn't have a cell phone. My first cell phone, I got my first cell phone when I was 20, 23, 24 years old, when I got to Sterling, Kansas. Like, and for the longest time, like, I had a 620 number. Like, and like, I moved to North Carolina, and people were like, 620, like, where in the heck is 620? I was like, yeah, it's, Central Kansas, man. Like, of course, duh.
Yeah, that's right. Well, obviously, before you got to Campbell, you helped guide 2 teams that set school records, that you were part of their staff. Sterling College in 2004 with 37 wins, and Washita Baptist for a couple of years. Y'all really toured up over there, 31 wins, and in 2007, y'all got up to 50. So maybe just tell everybody, being a part, obviously you're a young coach at that point in time in your career, just learning how to win. Obviously you're around some type of a good culture, I would assume, and just kind of the effect that had on you moving over to Campbell, and just kind of what you've been able to do over there right now.
Yeah. I mean, I worked for Scott Norwood for 4 years. And he's at Ranger Junior College now, and was at Arkansas Little Rock for a little while. And just super competitor, man. Like, that dude was a super intense competitor. Like, tons of energy. Let me do a lot of things, like gave me a lot of responsibility for a guy that just got out of college, which is, I think, how he kind of got into coaching. Kind of same thing, coaching for Coach Vaught. Like, he gave him a lot of responsibility and let him do some things. And we had taken over, the 1 year that I was at Sterling with him, we set the school record for wins, and then he got Washita Baptist, and I went with him. And going from NAI to Division II, and they were like 9-45 or something the year before we got there.
Ooh.
And so he's like, "Hey man, like, this Division II job, like, this is like a step up, and man, like, the worst, like, we're definitely going to win more than 9 games. Like, it's a school in the South, like, we can figure it out." And so, like that was it was awesome because he gave me a ton of responsibility and a ton of ownership, and just like, hey man, we just got to find good players, like figure out how to find good players, like get on the phone. If you have to get in the car, get in the car. It's got to be your own car because we don't have a budget for that, but like figure it out, just like go. And I was like, cool, like this is great. So I, single, 24 years old, like making $3,000 a year coaching college baseball. And I thought like I was like living the high life, and so yeah, man, like that was a ton of fun. And like in that process, as we were getting that program, turned around and headed in the right direction, and going from 9-45 to in 07, we were 50-10 and number one in the country at some point, or number two in the country at some point, and a lot of really good things. I met a guy named Greg Goff, who was the head coach at University of Montevallo, who we were in the same conference. They were in the East of the Gulf South Conference. We were in the West. We played each other every year. We trade scouting reports. And so we got to kind of build up this friendship. And in that summer of 07, he got the job at Campbell. And
Gotcha.
I remember him calling me in early July. I was umpiring in Hot Springs, Arkansas for cash in the summer, because I was on a 9-month contract, so that we didn't get a paycheck in the summer, man. Figure it out, on your own. I'm umpiring, and that dude calls me and leaves me a voicemail, and it's like, hey, want to talk to you about this job, come out here and work with us out here. And we went back and forth and jumped in the car and moved to North Carolina in August, and I've been here ever since.
Still there. Yeah. So, I mean, it sounds like not a typical coaching story, because I feel like everybody has their own path, but it's just one of those, you grinded, you've been at Campbell, you worked your way up the ladder at Campbell and had a ton of success. One more question before I turn you over to Daniel. I was from a family aspect. I've always wondered, I have 3 kids of my own, and they're pretty grown now, but I was reading the bio and Jim kind of gave me some information. I think you got 4 kids. I heard a little one in the background earlier.
Yeah.
I've always wondered, how do you do that? Being a top 25 Division I baseball coach, you're at the field constantly, recruiting, camps, all that stuff. Just, I'm not going to ask you what age your kids are. If you want to tell everybody, that's great. But just, how tough is that on you, and how do you divide your time up,
Yeah, I'm probably not very good at it, to be honest with you, Chris. Like,
I don't know if anybody is, right?
Yeah, man. Like we've got 4 10 and under. Our oldest is 10, 9, 6, and 3. We got 3 boys, and our youngest, our 3-year-old, is a girl. And number one, like, the backbone of all of it is my wife, Lindsay. She's phenomenal. She's an absolute rock star. We've been fortunate enough that since we had our second one, she's been able to stay at home with the kids. And I mean, last spring, as we're, having as good of a year as we've ever had, like our 3 boys are playing on 3 different teams, at 3 different parks, like up the road, and her and her mom are they're trying to navigate now 4 schedules, mine plus, our 3 sons. And, it's just like, well, I got to get here and here. And I'm like, babe, I don't know how you're doing it, but like, man, it's awesome. And so like, that's number one. Number 2, like we're in a good setup because like their elementary school literally backs up right to where our stadium is. So I get to drop them off. I can take them to school every morning and like pull right into, right into our office, into the stadium, like every day. They can walk over after school and hang out at the stadium and hang out at the facility and stuff. So we can pick up some of that stuff like that. And, we have a great staff and a great support system here. And so, even, like nights like tonight, it's 10 o'clock on the East Coast, man. Like, and that's great. Like, but I got a chance to eat breakfast with them this morning and dinner with them tonight. And then we figure out the rest of the stuff after that. And so, it's definitely a tricky balance. And I think we went on a 10 or 11 day road trip last year over spring break. We went to Lafayette, Louisiana Lafayette, and then Tulane, and then back up here to App State, like a 8 or 7 or 8 game road trip. It's tough, man. 11, 12 days away from your family is definitely a challenge, but fortunate that we've got a good support group. I've got a great wife, and you know, it's going to get fun because our kids are starting to get to that age now that, you know, they're going to want to be bat boy, and they're going to want to be in the dugout with us, and that kind of stuff. They'll travel with us a little bit more. So that part is going to be really, really fun.
So let me tell you something, Coach, that me and Daniel have learned. You know, Daniel, you'd say we're somewhere around 300 guests or so. And let me tell you, that little girl is going to be the best athlete in your family. And it's not even close, because when there is a girl surrounded by boys, they go through everything growing up, right? And ultimately, the iron will sharpen the iron, and they'll put them through hell. And Daniel, how many girls have we had come on here, star athletes, and they had 2, 3 older brothers that just, they said, worked them and made them to who they were?
Well, not only that, we've had male athletes talk about their sister, and they go, "Oh yeah, my sister, she's like
The best,
hands down the best athlete. Like we had no chance." So yeah, I think you're going to have your hands full. Trust me. I mean, you already
100%.
do, but I think for me, I have 2 girls. So if I had a boy, I think it would be a way different dynamic, but you have boys with 1 girl. So it's just, I think your boys are going to get mad because you're going to, you know, be a little softer on her or vice versa. But either way,
no doubt. She's already tougher than all of them. So
I'm telling you,
know, and she's meaner, which cracks me up, you know, and I'm the I'm the instigator, because I laugh at everything she does because it's hilarious, you know, and that's, and you guys know, as fathers, man, like that's the worst thing you can do is laugh at your kids, you know, when you're supposed to be, you know, when you're supposed to be disciplining them, and you're just laughing, you know, and because it just, they love that. They want to keep doing it. So yeah, she's going to be a spark plug, man. It's pretty fun.
sure. Well, obviously, you know, you mentioned Sterling, Kansas, and your time there. I'm just curious because Jim and I do this pretty frequently. We've, over time, this podcast has evolved, and like we talk about how what we thought we were so bad in the very beginning and what we've evolved to now. Like looking back at your coaching stint in Sterling, like, is there anything that you're like, holy moly, like why would I ever do that now? Or is there anything that you did then that you're like, that's my thing. Like I take it with me wherever I go.
No, like there is probably very little, there's probably very little that I did as a coach, as a first year coach 20 seasons ago. You know, I think 04 was my first year coaching, that I probably do now. The one thing that I can, the one thing that I can say, like without a doubt, like this is one thing that I know at Sterling I liked about myself for the job, and that I still like, is that like being around the players and being around the guys, and being able to be on the field with those guys for 2, 3, or 4 hours, whatever it is, a day is it was 100% the truth in Sterling, Kansas. Like that's the best part of your day is being able to be on the field and enjoy being, you know, being around those guys. And I didn't know that a whole lot as a 23-year-old assistant. It was just a continuation of like my playing days. And so, you know, we had our right fielder was a guy named Ingalls Polanco. He was 31 years old. You know, and I'm 23 years old. We had a from
NAIA baseball,
100% from Pima Community College. We had a right-handed pitcher named Jesus Rodriguez. He was Mexican from Pima Community College. He's 24 years old. He had 3 kids, and like we took a spring trip, and I look over. We're flying to Homestead, Florida. And I look over, and Ingalls is on the plane. He's 31 years old. I'm 23. Ingalls is on the plane drinking screwdrivers. And I'm like, this is like, you know, game 3. Like we're getting ready to fly to like the second weekend I've ever been a college coach. And I'm like, what do I do right now? Like, what am I supposed to do? Like this dude's 8 years older than me, you know, like and he's, you know, we got 17-year-old kids, and we got a 31-year-old right fielder that's, you know, helping them to self, you know, on the flight to Florida, you know, with some vodka and orange juice. And anyways, like that's, I digress, but man, like I think the funnest piece is just being around the guys. And if there's something that I've been fortunate enough to hang on to over the last 20 years of doing this is that those 2 or 3 or 4 hours being around those guys, and it's hasn't always been this way in my career, but man, it certainly is now. Is like, man, that's just the best part of my day, because, as a head coach, you get swept up into a million different things. And it's like, man, you can walk out on the field like super ticked about any number of things that you just had to deal with up in the office. And you walk out and you're watching your dudes hit, or you're going through your throwing progression, and you're hanging out with those guys. And you're like, yeah, man, this is why I do this. This is why we do what we do. And this is what's fun about our job. And this what makes it cool.
Yeah, the baseball field is the closest thing to Disney World that I can equate to people, is because when you go to Disney, you feel a certain way, and when you get on the baseball field, you feel a certain way. And unless you've done either one of those or both, you may not understand what that means. But
yeah,
obviously, you go from Sterling, Kansas to Bowie's Creek. Now, you get there in 2008, and you mentioned, being the assistant under Greg Goff, which you would be the assistant from 2008 through 2014. So tell me a little bit about what you learned from Greg and being a part of that staff that would also go on to have school record wins in 2012 and 2013.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the biggest thing about working for Greg, who's the head coach at Purdue now. And we had a really good staff, man. So, in 11, 12, 13, and 14, 11 wasn't a great year, but 12, 13, and 14, we won 40 plus 3 straight years and whatever. But I was, the assistant coach, recruiting coordinator, help with the offense. Rick McCarty, who's the head coach at Abilene Christian and is doing phenomenal things at ACU, was our pitching coach. And then obviously Greg was the head coach. And, he's at Purdue now. He was at Alabama, as Louisiana Tech. Like he's it was a phenomenal opportunity to be around just really good people. And then being around Greg and being, in the office with him for 7 years, like I think took what Coach Norwood taught me from an enthusiasm and an excitement and an intensity side of things, and put a lot of polish on that. And this is how you are a professional. This is how you run a program. These are all the different pieces that are going to go into this. He worked for a guy named Mike Kinnison at Delta State. He worked for Keith Madison at University of Kentucky for 4 years. So he was able to really learn from some really high level guys. And then I was fortunate enough to learn from him. And so I think just that professionalism and what it really means to be a head coach at the Division I level, and how to attack all the different pieces, was something that man, I learned a lot from him. Again, he gave me a ton of responsibility and ownership, challenged me a lot, made me become a better coach and a better person. But I think that professionalism and seeing him do it at a really, really high level, helped prepare me to become a head coach once he left.
So he does end up leaving in 2015. You get to take over as the lead guy. So were you, being the assistant and being there so long and having the success, did you know that the job was yours, or was there like a process that you had to go through and like you really had to like go through the interview and sit down and really sell yourself on why you were the guy?
Yeah, it was. I did not know that I was going to be the guy. It was so weird, man. Like, our AD at the time was a guy named Bob Roller, who's a phenomenal human being and awesome leader. But we had a couple of conversations, but we were not close. Like, he was close with the head coaches, not as much with the assistants. Fine. So we get back from the Columbia Regional, first regional we've been to in 24 years. And Greg had told me and Rick that he was involved at Louisiana Tech. And we're like, okay. But we didn't really know, like, was he going to get the job? Was he not going to get the job? How involved are you? Weren't you, like, you just, who knows, man? It's a crazy world. UNC Asheville in our league in the Big South was open that year. Bob Roller, our ADs, one of his former assistant ADs was the AD at UNC Asheville. So I had an in. So I got involved at UNC Asheville. I've got a phone interview. So this is before Zoom. So I got a phone interview. I'm in my office. I got my computer pulled up. I got my PowerPoint. I'm ready to go. There's 10 people on this call. It's like a 2-hour long call. Like this is my first real taste of any interview. And I'm like, man, I feel like I crushed it. And I'm like, yeah, man, like bam, crushed it. I walk out of my office and down the hall comes Greg Goff. And he's like, all right, man, I'm flying to Ruston. I'm heading to the airport right now. I'm flying to Ruston. I'll call you later tonight. I'm supposed to meet with the president tonight and figure out if this is going to be the spot. And I'm like, what? Like, wait a second. I just crushed my interview, man, at Asheville. Like, now you're telling me that you're probably you're meeting, you're flying, they're flying you to Ruston, out of Harnett Regional Jetway, like you're getting the job, and so I'm like, man, what's going to happen? Like, who knows? So he calls me that night. He's like, yeah, man, they're going to announce me tomorrow at noon. I'm like, all right. So hang up the phone with him. Our AD calls. Hey, man, let's go to breakfast in the morning. Okay. Let's go to breakfast, man. Where do you want to go to breakfast? Like, there's Cracker Barrel down the road. Let's go to breakfast. Go to breakfast. I have no idea what he's going to say. I'm like, well, worst case, if I'm not the guy, like I could probably go with Greg to Louisiana Tech. And, sitting right there, I'm thinking like, well, I might be able to get the Asheville job. I might go to Louisiana Tech with Greg and in the Cracker Barrel, on I-95 in Dunn, North Carolina, Bob Roller offered me a 3-year contract to be the next head coach. I was 33 years old, 6th youngest head coach in the country. And I'm like, yeah, man, absolutely. I'll take it. Then I went to Rick McCarty's house and tried to beg him to stay. And he told me, no, he was going with Greg to Louisiana Tech. So, yeah, man, like a lot of uncertainty, but it happened fast. So that was beneficial. I think part of benefits of being at a private school, there doesn't have to be a huge long process. I was super fortunate that Bob trusted me and gave me that opportunity.
So when you finally sign your name on the papers or the contract or whatever it is, this 3-year deal now, what is that emotion like? Was it like, all right, time to go to work? Did you actually get a chance to enjoy it? Did you reflect and go, man, like I've done something special here?
No, it was time to go to work, man. There was no press conference. There was none of that. This was before the transfer portal, so I didn't have to worry about any of that, which thank the Lord. But we had a guy signed from junior college that I knew that we needed to get locked up. And that guy is a guy named Cedric Mullins that was coming to us from Lewisburg Junior College right up the road. And so I call Cedric, and he's up in New York playing in the NYCBL. And I can't even remember the town. I wish I could remember the town. And, I'm like, all right, man, like, this is what we got. I wasn't the one, Rick was the one that was recruiting him. And so Rick was like his contact. We had met, we had talked, but Rick was really, his contact. And I was like, man, we got to keep this guy, so I get on the phone with Cedric, get on the phone with all of our recruits. Thankfully, he decided to come. He ended up, being a really good player for us for 1 year and got drafted, and now is, an all-star with the Orioles. And yeah, it was like, we did this like really short interview standing on, like, we have this deck out in left field, and we've upgraded it since then, but like overlooking the field. And it was like really poorly put together and like really quick. There, again, no pomp and circumstance. And it was like, all right, babe, like I got to get on the phone. You know, I've got to call every alumni. I got to call every recruit. I got to call every current guy. I got to call every donor. Like, and it was like 72 hours of being in my office, you know, on the telephone and trying to make sure that what we had going, you know, in 12, 13, and 14, that people felt confident that we were going to be able to keep it going.
Yeah, I mean, and keep it going. You did, because I mean, you have quite the accolades that you've accomplished over the past few years. Just a few of the big ones. You've won 286 games, and you averaged 30 wins per year. You've 4 times been named the Big South Coach of the Year: 2018, 2021, 22, and 23. You had 3 Camels been named Big South Player of the Year. You've had 3 Camels be named Big South Pitcher of the Year. 4 Camels have been named Big South Rookie of the Year. Received 56 all-conference selections, 31 first-team selections. 9 different Camels have been named All-Americans. Campbell has reached the NCAA regionals and won 7 NCAA tournament games. You've won the Big South regular season 5 times and the Big South tournament 4 times. 13 Camels have been selected in the MLB draft, and 18 have signed professionally with MLB organizations. Like, when you hear those back, like, what does that mean to you? Is that just, hey man, that's part of my job, that's what I do? Or does that like really like hit your heart and you're like, man, like that's awesome?
A little bit of both, like a little bit of both. I think when you rattle them off and you hear people talk about it, or you read it or whatever, just like you just did, it's like, man, like we've done some, you know, we've done some really fun things and some pretty remarkable things, you know, because again, just very similar to
you're being very humble right now. You're on a list of coaches, a very small list of coaches that have been able to do things like that. So, you know, I think it's important. Yeah, be the coach speak. But I'm gonna.
You're gonna press me on that one a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I think, you know, yeah, for sure, man. I like when we rolled in the door in August of 2007, we were taking over a program that was 11-45. And if you would have said in 2007, you know, 16 plus years ago, like, you're going to be a part of a program that's gone to 6 of the last 9 regionals. You're going to have been 3 of the last 4 regional championship games or regional finals. You are going to have the most day 1 draft picks of any non-Power 5 school in the last 5 years, anywhere in the country. Like, people would have told you, you're insane, man. Like, that's not going to happen at Campbell. We rolled into Campbell and they said, hey, you're never going to win here. You can be competitive, like middle of the pack. You're never going to get paid a lot of money, but you can stay here for a long time. You can have a job. You can keep a job. As long as you have good kids in your program, you can have a job. And so it was like, well, thanks, but like, we need to think bigger, you know, like we need to dream bigger. We need to figure out a plan and a process to be able to get those things. And now as you rattle off those things and you sit back and you sit there and you think, like, 16 years ago, Jesus Christ, like, man, like no one would have thought that was going to be possible. And so when I said, like, yeah, it's a little bit of both, of just like, holy smokes, man, like we've done some freaking unreal things. Like, I mean it. But the flip side of it is, like, every time we've climbed a mountain, or every time we've punched through, or every time we've done something that we've never done before, right? In 2021 is the first time we'd ever been, or 2019 was the first time we were ever a 3 seed. 2021 was the first time we were ever in that large bid. 2023, we were the number 2 seed, 13th RPI team in the country, and the only team in the top 16 that didn't get a regional host. And like, we're sitting there literally talking about Sunday night before the selection show that we might hear Bowie's Creek Regional, you know, come across the screen. Like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, that would have never crossed anyone's mind.
You probably should have.
Right. Well, and again, like there's a million different layers to that that we probably don't have time to peel away. But like every time we punch through, every time it's like, okay, like my job always, or whoever's the head coach, I think that their job is always to say, okay, like, yes, this is great. Yes, this is awesome. But damn, if we can't figure out a way to do more. Right. And so there's the expectation of like, yeah, I dreamed that 10 years ago, man. And now it's coming to fruition. And then there's also the piece that's like, yeah, man, no one in a million years would have told you that we would have been on the run that we've been on the last, 6 or 7 years.
That's
So
why
it's really fun.
that's why you've developed the hard to kill mantra, man, because you elevate the bar, the expectations raise, and people would have never thought that the bar would have been as high as it is now for you. But you won't go away. You're hard to kill, man. You just keep coming back.
Well,
So
I hope that's true, man. Like we certainly want, like we don't want to shy away from that, right? Like we want guys to come in with expectation to perform at the highest level and be really annoying to anybody that thinks that like, well, damn, it's just Campbell, fuck, man, like we should throttle these guys. We should, what are these, who are these guys? Like, that's cool, man. Like I'm in for that. I don't take it personal. Like, that's great, man. Like, yep, that's like, we're here for that. That's awesome.
But the thing is, Coach, there's no more, underdog under the radar for you guys.
don't get to hide no more, Coach. People, secrets out, man.
I can tell you this: scheduling has been a lot harder the last couple of years, guys. Like I'm not, that's
Hell
a fun
yeah.
piece, man.
Wake Forest, North Carolina, those dudes don't wanna
That's what I was
play.
fixing to say. Here's the thing.
No way.
I was upset that I couldn't really find a weekend that worked, but I was going to be able to do 2 midweek games. And then I got told by, the Campbell faithful that the UNC game was the must be at game midweek or not. It would be sad, it'll be electric. And so that's the one I'm going to be there. And I'm rooting for the massive upset, which may not even be an upset, right? Campbell may be a top 10 ranked team and be the favorite. But, for most people, the way they think, they're going to think
Sure.
North Carolina, perennial, big time team. And so I can't wait to be there for that.
Yeah, well, I'll give Coach Forbes credit, man. Like they've in my, this is my 17th year. They've never played a regular season game at our place. So this will be the first time that we've gone up there, and Scott's been tremendous to us and we're good friends. But we've gone up there a bunch, and every year I'm like, hey man, you want to come back? And this year he's like, hey man, we'll come back, so I give him a ton of credit. Because, at North Carolina, man, like everybody wants to come to Chapel Hill, they could have 45 home games a year if they wanted to. They could play at home every non-conference game if they wanted to. So I do appreciate that. And it should be a really fun atmosphere. And
that's why you got the upgrades being done, huh? North Carolina's coming to town. We got to get everything right.
Well, no, y'all's midweek schedule is crazy. Yeah, ECU times 2, Coastal, UNC times 2, Duke times 2, Charlotte, NC State. Like, I love it.
That's a resume builder. That's all I hear.
That's what I'm talking about. Go get it. Like, let's roll in there and go get it.
Well, in 2013, man, we went 49-10, and we lost in the conference championship game, winner take all, 2-1 to Liberty at Liberty. We were undefeated. They had lost a game, and we didn't get an at-large bid. I remember sitting in. We thought we were going to get in. Somehow, some way, somebody had called Coach and told him that we were in. And so we had a watch party, and we get halfway through the bracket, and I'll be damned, man. I remember calling my dad at the commercial break on Selection Monday, and I'm like, we're not getting in. There's no way. Like, too many of these other teams have gotten in. I'm sick to my stomach. And I'll never forget it. Long story, like 13 seniors' careers ended in that restaurant, watching a daggum selection show and not on the field like it should have. Right. And the information that we got was that our non-conference strength of schedule, and the selection committee will say whatever they want, just like you're watching college football, the CFP guys, they're going to say whatever they want because they're going to.
But that would have been the equivalent of leaving out Oral Roberts this year, and we saw what they did.
Yeah, I mean, and they said our non-conference strength of schedule wasn't, we were, 49 wins, man. And so we didn't get in. And I told our boss at the time when I became the head coach, I said, that will never happen again. We may get left out, but it will not be because of our non-conference strength of schedule. We may not have enough wins, we may not have whatever, but I will not look at those guys in the eyes like I did then. And something that might have been within our control, we didn't control. And so if you go back and look at our non-conference strength of schedule the last 5 or 6 years, I think the worst non-conference strength of schedule that we've had the last 6 years is like 32nd in the country. We've been routinely in the top 20 in non-conference strength of schedule because our guys respond to that. And that's where we want to be. And if we're going to get to Omaha, when we get to Omaha, we're going to have to run through a blue blood. We're going to have to go to LSU and beat them in Baton Rouge. We're going to have to beat Florida in Gainesville. We're going to have to beat Vanderbilt in Nashville or Stanford in Palo Alto. Like, we're going to have to run through one of those. And if it's the first time we're in that atmosphere, we're going to be trying to play catch up while we're supposed to be playing baseball. And that's not a situation that we want to get into.
Let's be honest. The last 3 years, you have been playing in the hardest possible environment you could draw.
I mean,
last year it's unbelievable to me. I mean, but
I mean, think about that. Didn't they get Knoxville with the super team from Tennessee the year before, and then they had Mississippi State, the would-be national champions, the year before that. Like, it's
They said, Coach, you got to earn it. 49,
no doubt. Hey, man,
49 wins.
Didn't get in.
That's crazy. I bet if you look back in history, and I don't have this in front of me, but how many 49 win teams have not made it to postseason?
You should have had Chris. You should have had Chris research it before. He's good at stuff like that. He'd have had it ready.
So,
Chris, Daniel, before you continue on, I got to ask because of the way you and Coach have talked about Chris. Going back to your playing days, in '97, did you have any idea who Campbell was?
Oh God, no.
No. I know who Bowling Green was. I mean, I played with a guy from Bowling Green. I'll ask Coach after this episode's over if he knows who he is.
Was his name Urban Meyer?
Nah.
Hey, Urban. Hey, my spring of my sophomore year was the first. Urban got the job in January, at BG of my sophomore year, man. So he came in guns a-blazing.
I mean, he got it done. That's for sure. Yeah. But Coach, if you had a favorite season, and I know the coach speak is going to be the season coming up, but like of the favorite season, like what would you pick?
For me as a head coach, it would be hard to not pick 2018, because for a ton of reasons. One, that was the first regional that we went to with me as the head coach, and so that's been really special, and it's set us up to be able to advance our program and keep winning, and now we've gone to 5 straight, which is again phenomenal. But like for a ton of other reasons, of like in 17 we finished 8th in our conference, and we were picked to finish first and finished 8th and made the conference tournament on the last weekend of the year, and we went 0-2, and I'm in the last year of my contract. I'm in the last year of my contract going into the 18 spring. We had some turnover in staff, a lot of new players, and just a lot of different things. And we changed and we changed a lot of how we ran our day-to-day program and tried to get back to being able to coach our guys and love our guys and care about our guys and really dive into that and trust that. And of course, like we thought we were really smart and like, well, we're going to do all these things and it's going to be about the team and we're going to hold them accountable and just and looking back, like, yeah, man, that was the catalyst that did change everything about our program. But like we started, I think, like, I don't remember what our record was. Like we got swept the first weekend against St. John's and like punched out like 34 times in 3 games. like we started 0-4. We didn't get over 500 until like game 33.
Hell, I would have blessed them bats too.
Yeah. Yeah, damn right. So it's like, so I think 18 for me, like 18 was just really the catalyst. I learned a lot about myself. We challenged ourselves as a staff to change the culture of our program. Our players bought in. And we faced a really good amount of adversity and was able to fight through that. And because of all of those things, it allowed us to have confidence in the process that we were putting in and start to really build on that. And I think that's been the fun piece of what we've been able to do over the last 6 years was that team in 18 and how they helped us, really change the trajectory of our program.
Yeah, I mean, when I look back at those accolades, and we talk about the years that those things began. 2018 is really the year where those things started like falling into place, and it became the expectation or routine or whatever buzzword or coach word you want to put in there. But moving towards this season, I mean, obviously, we said it. We thought you guys should host regionals last year. Many of our friends around the country, on Twitter or X or social medias or even on the podcast network, like we all agreed, like you guys should have hosted. But tell us a little bit about the upcoming season and what the Camels got working to get over the regional hump. Pun intended, obviously, but
right.
How do we get over that hump? What do we do?
Yeah. I mean, that's the $1 million question for us, right? And so, we've got 22 new guys. We've got 3 new staff members. When you have success, you have, your staff has opportunities that have opened up for them, and the transfer portals can be challenging. And we were fortunate; we had a lot of guys drafted and signed last year, and all of those things. So for us, it's just trying to double down on the culture of what we're doing of really being together and really trying to buy in. And then I think the second piece is just continuing to encourage and fine tune our guys' belief system, really, because I think you can run into a door a lot of times, and if that door doesn't ever open, you might think that door's not available to you, right? Like we've been in 5 straight regionals. We've been in 3 out of the last 4 regional finals. We have had phenomenal regular seasons. We have been a 2 seed, a 3 seed. We've done some really nice things. And you keep bumping your head against that door, banging against that door, and that door doesn't seem to be budging. You can start to lose belief. And I think maybe you can start to go the other way sometimes. And so for us is to try to reinforce and refine that belief system that, like, just because the door hasn't busted down yet doesn't mean that it's not going to, and that this group isn't capable of doing it. Right. And so I think for us, that's the key. Fundamentally, tactically, like, yes, we're going to continue to try to get better and continue to develop arms to match up when we get into those weekends or tournaments or whatever it is, and play cleaner on defense, which bit us a little bit in the regional final against South Carolina last year. But I think just continue to work to be a more complete team and really try to reinforce that belief system that, like, that door's going to break down, man. Like, we're going to break through. We're going to get to the super regional round. And then it's anybody's ball game, man. We'll hook you up for 2 out of 3 and let's see what we got. So I think that's the biggest thing for us is, like, don't lose faith, man. Don't run from it, and just because it hasn't happened doesn't mean it's not going to, and that opportunity is going to still be there for us as long as we keep working and keep getting after it.
What do they say? How do you eat an elephant?
One bite at a time, baby.
Right. So you just got to keep chipping away, having one bite at a time. And, you see the success and like what your belief system, what your philosophy is, it works. It's proven. And baseball, what I love about baseball is it's one of those games that it's a simple game that's been around for 100 years, and it's never changed. It's the same game when you break it down to its core. It's just getting people to believe in the system and the philosophy or the culture. And like, I would say in my coaching career, my best teams were never my most gifted or most athletic or most, physically dominating teams. It was always the guys that meshed well together, and that family type
You
unity.
said that your national championship squad was chemistry. You said that.
Oh yeah, like we at Tampa, we would have never, like, if you asked us at the beginning of the season after fall what we could accomplish, we would have said, we probably have a chance to compete for a conference championship. But after that, it's we just don't think we got it, because the talent level was not what it was in previous years. But those guys were so much fun, like just a blast to be around, and they loved each other, and it was fun, and they hated to lose, and they went out and they won. They found ways to win, and that's a hard thing to coach. But when you got it, and you just got to keep it moving. But
100%.
You've done a tremendous job. We've had guys like Cade Keeler, Chance D'Aquila. They've spoken very highly of you, Coach, man. We look forward to what goes down at Bowie's Creek this year. Jim, you're headed down, man. You said he made a promise. He was like, I'm getting down there. I don't care what I got to do. I got to go. And damn it, if he ain't made it happen.
I mean, this Campbell thing is, between, Cade and the boys hooking me up, and then Amazon making a mistake. I tell my wife it's my favorite hoodie. I get another one just out of nowhere for free. It's like, so I'm walking around wearing Campbell gear more than I am LSU. People are going to get mistaken around here, but I don't know, man. This roll humps thing, it's infectious.
Your poor son, Justin. This guy's son is so confused on who to root.
Bro, no, I'm going to tell you something, Daniel. No, this last week might have been the worst. I put the pictures of him out doing the Christmas tree work. He was wearing an Ole Miss hoodie. The day before, he was wearing LSU shorts with the Mississippi State hoodie. And the day before that, he had the Arkansas shorts that Brady Tiger gave him with a Mississippi State hoodie. He wore 4 different teams. He mixes and matches. You just don't know what you're going to get.
That's okay. Keep the options open, babe. Keep the options open. You
seems like he can be bought. He can be bought with swag or gear.
Easily.
If you want to recruit Jim's son, just send him some gear. He will wear that wherever.
Chris,
it's like Lane Kiffin's son. Lane Kiffin's son's out, hanging out in Oregon, hanging out in Arkansas, right? Like, come on now.
The last 3 national champions, he knew more than double-digit guys from each team and got to hang out with them. So it's worked out well. He knows the guys from Wake Forest really well, and they're right now my favorite going into the season. So it just may continue to connect that way. But I'll tell you, Coach, I feel good about Campbell in the fact that we call it the IOTB effect. Chris is very aware of it, even as a guest host. I don't know, guys come on here and we don't do anything special. Good things just seem to happen. So you came on here. Obviously, we had Cade, and then we had Chance, and we got Dalen coming up. And so I feel real good about it. But, I'm going to let Chris do this game, but I got to do I got to take care of plugging our sponsors before we do it. I've talked to you about this a lot. Dalen Thompson actually told me he got his package in today. But Chinook seeds, you've had them, right, Coach?
Oh, yeah.
All right, what's your favorite flavor?
Oh, they got that pepper one, right? That's pretty good. Yeah,
I'm actually calling it, Chris. You'll like this because you can't find Paul Skeens these days without it. I'm calling it Parmesan Paul. It's got to be the first pick in the draft.
There you go.
But that seems to be the hot ticket. A lot of people liking dill pickle. I'm actually old school. I'm very in tune with the original. But this game of
we're gonna go there, huh?
We're not doing that story. We're not doing that story tonight. I don't have time. I've had a rough day, Daniel. Just leave me alone. Anyway,
I'll get to the blind taste test, Coach. I haven't had every flavor, so every episode I'm doing a blind test. And so tonight I've been dreading this night because I don't like pickles. And tonight
here we go.
Dill pickle. So I do 3.
He's gonna love it. I just have this weird feeling.
It's an acquired taste, I feel like, but it's not like offensive.
Look, it's Top Floyd's favorite. It's a winning seed. 17 Ks in Omaha.
The cinnamon sugar is surprisingly amazing.
Have you done what I told you yet to put it in coffee?
I haven't done it yet. I'm
Do
a
it.
coffee fiend, but the cinnamon, I had some when LSU played Tennessee this year, and I was shocked. Those things were amazing. It tastes like breakfast cereal.
All right.
All right, what we got, Daniel?
Initial thought. It wasn't like a hard hit of dill at all. You know, halfway through, I start getting a little dill. I crack the first one, I start getting a little more dill. I could see where this could not go well if you have a mouthful of these. However, I will say it's pleasant right now. It's not over dilly, dilly, but it
That's a
So
different.
good in
sponsor.
moderation. So good in moderation. We're
good
saying
in
then?
moderation, like everything in life, except for money. But I will say a 7.6, 7.6 out of 10. Not bad, not the best, but I can deal with it.
There you go. Solid.
There
So
we go.
for those of you who do like pickles out there, Daniel is giving a 7.6, even as a guy who doesn't. So check them out. And if you want to order them online, a chance to plug a Campbell here. Chance Tequila, the guest that we have had, who's a pitcher for Campbell, his code is Chance10, which will get you 15% off. So go to chinookseedery.com and get your seeds. But with that, Chris, man, your chance. First time to host this or that. Hit him.
Here we go. All right, Coach, we are starting to wrap up here. We're going to play a little game called This or That. So I'm going to ask you some questions. The only rule is that you can't say both and you can't say neither. All right, so here we go. A little rapid fire action here. So do you prefer breakfast for breakfast or breakfast for dinner? And then what's your favorite item? Now, I know with those little ones running around, y'all are busy. I think I know which way you're going to lean here.
I'm breakfast for breakfast.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm breakfast for breakfast. I'm a 2 eggs over easy with some meat or a breakfast sandwich of some sort.
There we go. Okay.
Yeah, he won me with eggs over easy. Too many
Greg.
cats saying scrambled these days.
Oh,
Nah,
scrambles
ow.
where it's at. Breakfast Sammys. Oh, dude, breakfast Sammys are the bomb.
Breakfast sandwich, breakfast burrito. I'm a big breakfast.
Chris, let me
burrito
tell
guy.
you what we've heard from a lot of our Ole Miss guests. They got a breakfast line over there where they get the breakfast sandwiches. They've told me and Daniel they're willing to wait in line all morning to get them bad boys.
I'm right with DB on those. I love Sammy's though. Those are good ones. All right, Coach. I love y'all's color scheme unis. We talked about the swag in the beginning. In terms of what are your favorite uniforms that y'all wear? The orange and the black or just the all whites?
I'm more
Or a different combo.
Yeah, I'm on the traditional, the what we call our Friday night whites. We've worn the same Friday night white uniforms for the last 13 years. It's the first Under Armour uniform we designed, in 2012 when we went to Under Armour, and those are probably my favorite. If our guys had a choice, they would say the all blacks, the black pants, and the black.
That's what Kate and Chance have both said.
And it is, and I'm kind of, sometimes I'm a little chubby guy, so the all black is slimming, so I'm in on that too. So
I love the whites. I'm with them. You seen the whites, Chris?
Yeah, I've seen them. I've seen them all. Yeah, I was looking at their website and stuff. It's just
and I like the
and
way
then
the
when y'all
logo,
go to the stirrups, I don't know if y'all saw the stirrups.
the stirrups, but the logo on the corner versus it saying Campbell across. I love the logo. They got the best logo.
Yeah, they have a lot of good combos over there.
Chris, this show's not about you, but I'm gonna ask you right now on the spot: the purple or the gold?
Purple.
All
right,
no hesitation.
Purple and white. I like that. Yeah.
White.
I've won in both of them, but I'll go purple. All right, Coach. If I could offer you a massive yacht, so this is just your gift to have, tool around in, or a private jet, which one you picking?
Private jet.
Okay. All right. I think I'll probably go in yacht. I know Jim's a yacht guy. DB, I haven't heard your answer yet.
I'm a jet guy. I want to be able to go anywhere. I don't want to be just land or secluded to water.
You don't understand how to enjoy the water, Daniel. Okay.
I live surrounded by water. What are you talking about?
All right. Jim touched on it earlier, Coach. The wildest environment. You got 2021 Starkville, 2022 Knoxville, or last year in Columbia. I know you mentioned the sandstorm experience early in Columbia, but out of those three, what do you think was the most raucous for y'all?
The most raucous was 2022 Knoxville.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those those fans for so
I
long.
like the hesitation.
They
He
were
was trying to figure out how to say it, right?
for so long. They hadn't been, they've been down, for a while.
sure.
And Tony's done such a great job there, man. Like I don't know, like they love to win. Like I don't think it matters what sport for them. I don't think that, I think that they love winners in Knoxville, and I don't like it could be their rowing team and they would know nothing about rowing and they'd be out there and on your ass because they're winning. And that makes it fun. And a lot of people have a lot to say about this, that, and the other with them, man. Like, hey, our dudes love that environment. We love that environment. It was a lot of fun. It was definitely raucous. The best, like the best people that we've ever been around are probably the people in Starkville, where like those fans were tremendous to us and to our fans. And were super knowledgeable on baseball and college baseball. And
I'm
and
sure
again,
you're aware they've taken you as like their second team. Like the people in Starkville love Campbell. As far as Knoxville, me and Chris have no love lost there because in 2021 they did not treat LSU well or call Coach Paul Maneri on his way out. So even though we have had like 30 Tennessee baseball guests here, we've had Coach Vitello. Me and Chris were not very fond of how our boys and our coach were treated in 2021.
Yeah.
Coach,
like I said, they like winning.
Yes.
Tennessee Twitter, the king of the meme.
Starkville's only the best coaches because you just haven't been to Baton Rouge in the box yet. So we got to find some way. We got to get you made the loop last year. You went Lafayette to New Orleans and you just passed over.
We got
to talk to Jay. We got to get you down.
Hey, listen, like they fill up their schedule 9 years in advance with everybody wanting to come. And the last time I talked to Jay about scheduling, like Jay was at Nevada last time I talked to him about scheduling. So, that's 2 stops ago for Jay. He doesn't remember us little guys up here in Bowie's Creek.
So
man.
Chris, get ready for 2035. We're going to see it.
20 up in a wheelchair by then. But all right, Coach, Batman or Iron Man?
Batman.
Yeah.
Boo.
100%.
Yeah.
One day I'm going to get somebody to say Iron Man. No guess.
I'll go Iron Man.
He died for everyone.
All right, last one, Coach, as we wrap up here on the this or that part of the show here. If I could walk in right now, I'll give you a national championship ring, or I can give you a suitcase with $10 million. Which one you taking?
National championship ring.
Liar.
Thank you. No, he's not. I've heard so many players on these guys' show. They're like, "Oh, give me the money." No, give me the ring, bro.
Daniel,
Hey,
I'll give you $100,000. No, hold on, Coach. Daniel, I'll give you $100,000 for that ring on your shelf right now. Deal?
Yeah, here you go. Where do you want me to send it?
Exactly.
That's because we're old and we got to pay bills. But I mean,
right.
Hey,
you act like hey, Coach got 4 kids and a wife.
No doubt. Hey, there is a limited number of earned national championship rings, and there is almost an unlimited amount of money in this world. It is the most abundant commodity in the entire world, boys. Like, if we need to figure out a way to make a little bit of extra money, we can. Don't worry about that. Hey, that national championship ring don't come along real often, man.
You are true, but your upside, I think, is way, way greater than ours.
Yeah, on both fronts.
Yeah, that national championship's going to lead to a payday for sure as well.
Oh, goodness.
Definitely. All right, Coach, man, we'll let you get out of here. Anything you want to plug or promote?
No, man. Follow us on Twitter, man. Go Camels BSB and myself at Haire03. Man, just appreciate you guys and if any of your listeners and followers, man, see us out on the road, man, come check us out. And we're a fun brand of baseball and a good time bunch of guys, man, that are going to get after and play it the right way. So appreciate you guys.
Absolutely, Coach, man. If there's anything we can do for you or your guys, please let us know. We'd love to have you back at the end of the season, maybe recap a little bit, talk about how it all shook out. But
for sure,
wish you guys the best of luck, healthy, happy, fun, more than anything season this year.
Appreciate it, guys.
That's Justin Haire, everybody, the head man at Campbell University for the baseball team. If you like hearing Justin's story, or you just like hearing us average Joes talk X's and O's, please like and share the podcast on Facebook, retweet us on Twitter, listen and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor. As always, comments, ratings, feedback, thumbs up, hearts, hugs, love. We'll take it all, and we'll see everybody tomorrow night, Jim, right? Tomorrow night, big pros and
Absolutely.
Joes. We got Trey Richardson and Braden Jobert, man. I know
My
you're
favorite
excited.
player.
Yep, your favorite player.
But you know what they both are, Daniel, right? They're Cardinals, baby.
Oh, let's go. Let's go. They could make an immediate impact, to be honest. It's a rough season for a Cardinals fan, but we got those guys tomorrow night. And then next week, we're going to be talking Alabama gymnastics. We're going to talk with Ella Burgess, but also we got a guest host. We got Reese Droder coming on, right, Jim?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. We're going to get to talk gymnastics. We got a big season full of gymnastics in store, so it'll be fun to get their story and talk all things Alabama gymnastics with them. But this has been the In Off the Bench podcast. As always, remember, strong body, sharp minds, grit and grind all the time. We're out.